Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Collider Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Natasha Martinez, and this is the daily show where we give you all of the latest news in the world of movies, plus some insight into what it all means. Joining us today is Dennis Tzeng.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Collider Movie Talk. I feel like Dante in Clerks. I'm not supposed to be here today.
You just love us so much. And we got Mr. Mark Ellis joining us.
That would make me the loser that works at the video store next door. That's my guy.
Why don't you do the Randall dance?
Yeah, you got to do the Randall dance.
What's the Randall dance?
Oh, come on, you can't claim to be Randall and not know the dance.
I'll just
No.
do
And why don't we get a shimmy from Kristian Harloff?
I can't do a shimmy. I can't do the Ashley shimmy, but I can do the dance. You gotta kick back, walk in. What's up, guys? Or as David Griffin would say, hello.
All right, let's get right into it. According to Variety, Oscar-winning director Steven Soderbergh is coming out of retirement to direct the feature film Lucky Logan, starring Channing Tatum. In 2012, while Soderbergh was working on his last film, Side Effects, which also starred Tatum, he said that that would be his final feature film, and since then has been working exclusively on TV projects such as HBO's Behind the Candelabra and Cinemax's The Knick. Since Variety's article, Soderbergh has said the report was wrong on Twitter, though Variety suggests that he's talking about the initial report stating Matt Damon was the lead actor. Dennis, do you think Soderbergh is coming out of retirement, and what do you think of it if he does?
Well, first off, I'm just saying I'm a fan of Steven Soderbergh. I love it. I love not all his movies, but a good portion of them. I love what he's doing on Cinemax with The Knick. I think he's doing a fantastic job. Do I think he's coming out of retirement? Yes. You know why? Because he never retired. Yeah. He never retired. He just didn't. He said he wasn't going to do any feature films anymore, and then he just went to TV, and he's directing, TV movies, and he's directing The Knick and TV shows. It's a pet peeve of mine. I don't like when, especially creative people, say, "I'm retiring," and they're all like 40, 50 years old, and people like Tarantino, who I love, Kevin Smith, love him. You can't retire. You're not an athlete. You're not like, oh man, my body's too old. Usually what they do is they just say, okay, I'm going to retire. And they end up taking 2-3 years off, maybe do something else, and they always come back. Remember when Jay-Z retired?
Yeah, right.
It was like 1 year. When he retired, I was like, oh, I bet you this guy will be back within 3 years. He came back in 1 year. So I like that he's coming back out of retirement, but it's just weird for me.
There's no reason to say you're retired. I mean, if James Cameron didn't say he's retired after not working for like 8 years or whatever, so you can't say you're retired. He wasn't retired. Like you said, he worked on Candelabra, he worked at The Knick. He's working on all these things that he's not retired. It's great. I love the guy. Yeah. I'm glad that he's going to be making more feature films because I want to see more of his feature films. He's one of the best out there. But it's a bit silly. I don't take it, even when they said in the first place, oh, he's retiring. Okay, until he doesn't. He's going to be making movies pretty soon. So, good. I'm glad he's back.
I agree. Steven Soderbergh, you ain't a running back. What are you doing, man? You don't have to call it quits and go away forever. You can take a break. But look, anytime you have a director and they like to hear themselves talk, like you brought up, Dennis, with Tarantino or Kevin Smith, they're going to say some stuff that trips him up once in a while. So he said he wanted to retire from making feature films. But if Channing Tatum is available, we know how much Steven Soderbergh likes working with Channing Tatum and how much audiences enjoy watching that. Did I think I was going to like the first Magic Mike? Of course I didn't. Walk in there and, oh man, this is really a compelling movie, partially because the guy behind the camera was Steven Soderbergh. So what he's doing on The Knick, I hear, is really good stuff. Let's see him more in the feature movies.
And on a side note, whenever I go into your office, you have Magic Mike XL, just the dance scenes on repeat.
And Dennis, just to let you know, I'm not on the show tomorrow, so I'm retired.
Okay. Yeah. I like that he's coming back. I mean, the project itself, though, there's no details whatsoever about it, just other than the name of it and that Channing Tatum is starring. I guess the first reports were Matt Damon, but I don't think really that's that important. Him coming back, I'm interested in what he does. I mean, I have to be honest, I didn't really care for his last two movies, Contagion and Side Effects, but that was more with the script versus his actual directing.
Contagion was actually, I thought it was a really well-made movie. I just hated watching it because I felt sick the entire time. Like, it's the worst movie to see in a movie theater because you hear one person coughing and you assume that you're going to get whatever death virus is there. Like, I don't want that.
I liked Side Effects, actually, but I think it's just one of those, he's just one of those directors that even if it's like, not as good as his last movie, you're still entertained watching his movie. So I think that I don't know. I'm looking forward to seeing what he does next.
But I'll also say this too, is that if somebody says they're retired, it does mean that they're burned out a little bit on making feature films. So sometimes when you have a director who maybe doesn't feel like working on the next thing this year, once a star becomes available that they enjoy working with, like clearly it is with Channing Tatum and him, if Channing Tatum came to him and said, I want to do this movie and I want you to be the guy behind the camera, maybe that's how you get him back in the fold.
Well, yeah, you have Tarantino who says, okay, after 10 films, I'm done. I'm going to go write books and plays and all that stuff. You don't think after he does that for a few years that he's going to go, you know what, I got a movie idea. I got to do it. I got to do it. And he's going to do it. And there's going to be an 11th film. All right, that's it for the main topics. Let's move on to buy or sell. Natasha, what do we got?
Paramount has released the final trailer for the upcoming Zoolander II. The movie is a sequel to the 2009 comedy, with this one revolving around aging male models, Derek Zoolander, played by Ben Stiller, and Hansel, played by Owen Wilson, and how they are pulled into the world of international espionage and must defeat criminal mastermind and fashion designer Mugatu, played by Will Ferrell. The movie also stars Penelope Cruz, Kristen Wiig, and Benedict Cumberbatch. Zoolander 2 hits theaters on February 12th. Christian, buy or sell this trailer for Zoolander 2?
I mean,
are you retiring from this movie?
I'm retiring from this movie. Look, as far as Zoolander fans go, I think you should buy the trailer. I've said it, and I get it. People love this movie. I just don't care about it. I just don't care. I'm not a big Ben Stiller fan. There are certain things that he does that I like, but this is not one of them. I hope I'm wrong. I hope with this talent and this cast, there are some laughs behind it. So I gotta sell it because I just don't give a shit.
You know, Dennis, I heard Christian selling this trailer, and I was surprised. I went like, because I totally buy this trailer. It's hilarious. I think this movie is going to be funny. I think it's got the rare thing that a comedy can do, where it can actually be funnier than the first movie, which I think is hysterical. Now, a large part of that isn't just Ben Stiller and Owen Wilson. They're very funny, and they look like they're funny in this one, but the fact that Will Ferrell's back really is what sells me, not only on this trailer, but on the movie as a whole. There's going to be a lot of fun celebrity cameos, and I think that the celebrity cameos are going to be utilized in a correct way, as opposed to where you do the Adam Sandler more modern model, where it's just let's throw a lot of famous people in here and hope we get some chuckles. I like the way they're using famous people. I like the way they're using their stars to sell the movie. I think the Super Bowl is going to have a Zoolander presence as well, and when it opens next weekend, I think Deadpool's got some competition.
I kind of fall in between both of you because I actually am a fan of the first one. However, I sell this trailer. I don't think it's a bad trailer. I just didn't think I didn't laugh as much as I thought I was going to. It kind of has more of a music video vibe to it because they're using the Relax song. And also they took out my favorite part of the first trailer, Benedict Cumberbatch as the man-woman thing, whatever he's supposed to be. So for that alone, I thought they would deliver more, especially because this is a final trailer. And I don't know, maybe we're in the wrong circles, but I feel like Zoolander is getting overshadowed by Deadpool. Anything, at least I'm hearing, everyone's just talking about Deadpool. But that may just be our circles.
The marketing's been much better with Deadpool as well, too, because even people who don't know what the hell Deadpool is, they're aware of Deadpool. And it's not that people are not aware of Zoolander, but when Zoolander already has that first movie behind it, you would think that the sequel would be overshadowing this movie, Deadpool, that a lot of non-comic book movie fans don't know about, but it's not, because the marketing has been so clutch with Deadpool.
I would agree with that to an extent, where the viral marketing for Deadpool has been maybe the best campaign I've ever seen in my life. But when I go home and I just veg out and watch ESPN and watch a lot of sports channels like that, I see more ads for Zoolander than I do for Deadpool.
On TV.
So I think middle America, when they're just turning on their TV and watching a show, they're going to hear more about Zoolander than even Deadpool. Now, when you go to the theater to see another movie, that might be a different story, because there's a lot of Deadpool trailers, and I think the Deadpool trailers are better than anything Zoolander's done. However, that's why I think that this is going to be more of a neck-and-neck race. I still think Deadpool is going to win next weekend, and not just on the strength of this particular trailer, but on the star power of Zoolander that is coming back into theaters, and the fact that people are very aware of this movie. I think it's going to have a good draw.
And we've talked about comedy sequels before. They mostly under-deliver.
And they're
You
horrible.
can name maybe 5 on your that's good. Maybe 5.
I could throw Wayne's World 2 at you. I could throw Naked Gun 2.5
Austin
at you.
Powers,
Hot Shots
22
Part 2.
22 Jump Street.
But that's a short list, boy.
Yeah, I actually think this is going to end up being more like Anchorman 2, where it's actually funny, but it's not as funny as the first one.
Right.
And you're gonna have like parts where they're trying a little too hard.
Or Ted 2, same thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
According to Deadline, Bryan Singer, director of the upcoming X-Men Apocalypse, has reached a deal with 20th Century Fox to direct and produce an adaptation of Jules Verne's classic novel 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Over the last decade, several directors like McGee and David Fincher have circled their own film adaptations of the book. Last September, Singer announced on Instagram his intention to direct the project, saying that this new version contains not only the original characters of Captain Nemo, Ned Land, and Professor Anarax, but also some new and original characters and sci-fi plot twists culminating in a timeless adventure for all ages. Mark, buy or sell Bryan Singer directing 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea?
Well, I certainly buy what our man Ray did with that graphic. That was a very cleverly placed tentacle right below Bryan Singer.
You're a pervert, Mark Ellis. You are a pervert.
I didn't know that.
Only you.
I thought
thinking
Bryan
about that.
Singer just directed Mutants. I didn't know that he actually was one. Now, having said all that,
Nice tentacle.
Bryan Singer is a guy who, yes, he brings the X-Men to glorious life, and I love watching those movies, but he also can do things with fairy tales that I didn't think would compel me as much. Like when he made that Jack the Giant Slayer movie, I wasn't really looking forward to it, and I found myself being entertained largely because of Bryan Singer's directing. So if he's taking a project like 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, which we always talk about on the show, we have a lot of fans write in, hey, what do you guys think is ready for a reboot? We always want to throw like, oh, don't do Back to the Future, don't do Beetlejuice. 20,000 Leagues is so ripe for a modern retelling of Jules Verne's classic. And I mean, Natasha hit it on the head. It's all these characters that I've been waiting to see again in a new version. Captain Nemo, Professor Anarax, the giant squid. We could do so much more than what the Disney film did, which still is a great movie to watch. But I think Bryan Singer doing a more modern take of this, it sounds so good it can't miss.
I'm gonna buy it as well, but I'm buying it if the X-Men / Usual Suspects Bryan Singer directs it and not the Superman Returns. I did not care for Jack the Giant Slayer. I just kind of found it pretty boring. So I'm buying it, and he's got an imagination that I think will work well with this, and he can modernize it and make it appeal to a mass audience. So I'm fascinated by it.
I'm totally on the same page with you, Dennis. I buy the idea, and Mark, as far as buying the remake of 20,000 Leagues, I think it's time for one. I'm actually hesitant because of Jack the Giant Slayer and because of Superman Returns. It's like, oh, what's the vision? Like, I want to wait to see a trailer before I get excited for it. That's when I'm really going to buy whether or not I want to see Bryan Singer's version of this. But if he's as locked in as he is with the X-Men franchise, then yeah, you should be excited for it. We just don't, because the thing was, he was passionate about Superman Returns too, very passionate about it. And we got a dud. It was boring. It's not a bad movie. It's not a horrible movie. It's boring. I mean, Superman's carrying rocks. So
He goes to the hospital.
that's all he does.
And Lex Luthor is all he's doing is sleeping with rich old ladies.
Yeah,
it's like his
the
power.
Casting's not the casting.
That's actually a very
Cal Penn says nothing.
It's pretty good power to have.
Cal Penn says nothing in that movie. Cal Penn, who's got one of the best, he's got so much wit. He says not one word. I mean, you do that with Batista, not Cal Penn.
It's so weird that Bryan Singer directed Superman Returns. Like it's the thing. See what he's done with X-Men, and to think of how great the storylines are in that, because that's taking source material and adapting it to something new. Superman Returns, maybe it was so far out of the wheelhouse of what we're used to seeing Superman do that it didn't work. But 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, that's source material that we want you to stick to for the most part. It's not just a fairy tale where you can have this premise and then go off wherever you want. You need to be pretty locked in to what happened in the original Jules Verne novel. So I think it's a good premise for him to undertake.
And one of the viewers actually brought up a good point. Valkyrie was a movie that he did that was very, I mean, I love Valkyrie.
I liked it. I don't love it, but I liked it. I enjoyed
thought it was well done. So if he can do something along, those lines and that kind of tone, I think that would be...
Did McQuarrie write that one too, right?
I believe he did, yes.
Yeah, so like that combination,
You're right.
man.
You're right.
But McQuarrie, now he's off doing his own directing, and he's got one of the biggest stars, buddy with Tom Cruise.
He's on the up and up, man.
Yeah.
Superman should be carrying him.
All right, guys, now we're on to our opening this week segment, brought to you by our friends at AMC Theatres. On Tuesday, we covered Hail Caesar. We've got 2 more opening this weekend. Natasha, let us know about those.
First up, we have Pride and Prejudice and zombies. In the 19th century, a mysterious plague turns the English countryside into a war zone. No one is safe as the dead come back to life to terrorize the land. Fate leads Elizabeth Bennet, played by Lily James, a master of martial arts and weaponry, to join forces with Mr. Darcy, played by Sam Riley, a handsome but arrogant gentleman. Elizabeth can't stand Darcy but respects his skills as a zombie killer. Casting aside their personal personal differences, they unite on the blood-soaked battlefield to save their country. Next up, we have The Choice. Travis Shaw, played by Benjamin Walker, is a ladies' man who thinks a serious relationship would cramp his easygoing lifestyle. Gabby Holland, played by Teresa Palmer, is a feisty medical student who's preparing to settle down with her long-term boyfriend. Fate brings the two together as Gabby moves next door to Travis, sparking an irresistible attraction that upends both of their lives. As their bond grows, the unlikely couple must decide how far they're willing to go to keep the hope of love alive. Kristian, are you looking forward to these new releases?
Here's something. Here's a choice. The choice is avoid this garbage. Why are you still making movies, Nicholas Sparks? It's like it's the same shit. It's the same over and over and over again.
He needs to keep the hope alive.
There is no hope.
There's no hope.
There is no hope. The hope is that you can take a nap, and by the time you wake up, it's out of the theater. This is a terrible, terrible movie. The trailer stinks. He stinks. Enough with this guy. I'm sick of him. As far as Pride and Prejudice and Zombies goes, look. If you're into the, we can't talk. We've seen it. We can't disembargo on it. But I think that if you are into this, the Abraham Lincoln vampire type of movies, a take on an old tale and history or whatnot, you might enjoy this movie. And I think the performances are going to be pretty solid. For me, it's not something I'm looking forward to, but I think if you're going to choose between the two of them, shame on you if your choice is the choice.
Mark?
Look, folks, we need to acknowledge that facts are facts and that Nicholas Sparks is an undead zombie that we need to stop because he keeps making the same movie, as Kristian pointed out. But in this one, right, it's going to be a guy. No, you guys get it? Like, he doesn't want to be in a relationship. And then guess what happens? No. Stop me if you heard it. So he meets a girl that he's like, maybe I want to be in a relationship, but she's already in a relationship with another guy.
Garbage!
Now we have to root. Who's the poor sap that she's dating? Who's the drip?
It's Superman. It's Tom Welling.
Man. So Tom Welling is going to get cheated on by Teresa Palmer, and somehow us as an audience are going to have to. But you know what Nicholas Sparks always does is, like, halfway in the movie he'll just throw some sort of disease curveball. Like, I bet Tom Welling catches monkeypox halfway through. And then
if we could be so lucky.
Yeah.
If we could be so lucky.
Yeah, that would make the movie a lot more interesting.
Yeah, maybe his member turns into a tentacle like Bryan Singer and he can't perform anymore. But that movie is probably going to be so horrendous that it might be fun to watch. Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies, on the other hand, yes, it's from the same guy who did Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, so you get a little nervous about that. But this trailer really got me hooked, not just because of the craziness of the world. The way the zombies look, it was like up to Walking Dead standards, which is very, very high. I like the effects on the zombies. Lily James, who's in Cinderella, is a star, as is Jack Houston, who's also in the film. So I think it's worth getting excited about.
Yeah, The Choice is, once the trailer starts, he's like, I'll tell you the secret of life. You got to make choices. I'm like, what is this? What is going on? And then you're talking about Tom Welling. There's a scene in the trailer I laugh every time where he was Superman, right? He was on Smallville. In this one, he punches the guy, and it's such a weak punch. He's just like, she left because of you, and then he does this.
Mr. Burns.
Yeah, and it's like, oh
and
my
like
God.
6'5". You should smash your face in.
Yeah, exactly. So The Choice, I have no interest in seeing that whatsoever, unless we do what Mark is suggesting. We're talking about doing commentaries on bad movies. Maybe when that comes out on Blu-ray, we'll do a commentary on that.
You gotta be hammered. You gotta be hammered.
Yeah.
And we should do the Choice drinking game.
I want to be hammered just talking about this movie.
And as far as Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, what turned me around is I saw the trailer at Comic-Con. I think you were there too in Hall H, and for me it looks like a good mix of like kind of campy silliness with some seriousness. I think what we're talking about before, if you buy into this concept and you take it for what it is and realize, look, this is not going to be a serious drama, then I think you can have some fun with it. All right, now we're on to our mailbag section. But before that, I want to remind you we're going to take your live Twitter questions. You can tweet us at Collider Video, and Natasha will pick out some at the end of the show. But let's go on to mailbag. What do we got first?
Sal Donoto writes, "Greetings, Collider crew. I hope all is well. Just out of curiosity, with comedy being subjective, who is one actor or actress that everyone seems to find funny that you honestly think isn't funny? For me personally, it's Andy Samberg. I just don't think he's funny."
For me, it's not someone that I straight up go, oh, no, that guy's not funny, but he's kind of a hit and miss for me, and that is Jack Black. I like him in Tropic Thunder, Be Kind and Rewind, and what was the other? School of Rock.
Yeah.
But then there's other roles that he takes. I think he just kind of goes a little too over the top. I'm probably in the minority, but I'm not a fan of the whole Tenacious D act. Like, I just feel like he's just going like too overboard with it. So that's mine.
I'm a big fan of the D. Somebody that just annoys me when they try to do comedy, it's not known as a comedic actor,
right here.
is Kristian Harloff.
Fair
I mean,
enough.
what is that guy doing?
Unbelievable.
It would be George Clooney, who's as good looking as you. George
Thank you.
Clooney he's a phenomenal actor, and I like some of the directing movies that he's made. But when he does comedy, it just like I just feel like he's overcooking it. Like he's in a 1920s vaudeville show, and he's just doing wacky faces to show you how funny the situation is. And it even got to me a little bit in Hail Caesar, which comes out this week. So Clooney's a guy for me where he just has too many misses as comedy leatherheads to make me believe that he can do that on a regular basis still. Still a great looking guy, still a phenomenal actor.
Rob Schneider's too easy. I think that if you have, there's two of them. I think that for me, Amy Schumer, who I think was great in Trainwreck, I can't watch her stand up. I just can't do it. It's hard for me to do.
You can't watch her stand up, really?
I can't do it. I tried
Amy
to watch
Schumer's mine too.
I just couldn't do it. I tried to watch after because I saw Trainwreck and because I didn't like her going into it, and I said I thought it was a really well written movie. I thought she was really good in that film. But then my wife was watching her stand up special, and I had to get out of the room. It just wasn't funny. Ben Stiller, I was just talking about before. People love Ben Stiller, and for me, there's certain times like I loved him in Tropic Thunder, and there's other movies that like Something About Mary. Obviously, I loved, but there's other. He just annoys the piss out of me sometimes, and there's just some of those people.
Then
that
you
do
guys
that.
should not see Envy with, I believe, Jack Black and Ben Stiller in it because it's not a good movie.
Natasha, do you have anyone that you don't find too funny? I mean, you mentioned you and Kristian share
definitely
Amy Schumer.
And I feel like that's kind of suicide for me to say because I feel like all like girls are like, yeah, Amy Schumer, like she has no filter and she just says what she wants, but it's just not funny to me at all. Like I don't know.
Anyone else? Any guys that you don't find too funny?
Please don't say Mark. Please don't say
Mark Ellis.
Yeah, I can't think of any
Okay.
right now other than Mark Ellis.
I was out of it.
All right, what's next?
Bobby Hopkins writes, "Hey Collider crew, I'm wondering what your thoughts are on judging an acting performance and how you see that the Academy judges performances. Is it more of what the actor goes through to do his or her performance, such as Leo in The Revenant or Daniel Day-Lewis, or should only it be based on on-screen performances, or a mixture of both? Also, couldn't an argument be made that an editor can make or break an actor's performance by choosing or not choosing the best performances for some scenes? Thanks and keep up your great work."
Kristian?
Well, I don't think the editor is really the one that chooses all the great scenes because the director certainly has a big play in that as well. But I think that the editor certainly helps. The director certainly helps as far as how they make the actor look. But in regards to judging the performance, when you mentioned like Leo or Daniel Day-Lewis, for me it's when I'm watching, whether it be Leo or Daniel Day-Lewis, and I forget that it's those guys, that they just take me into, like I didn't think of Leonardo DiCaprio when I was watching Revenant. I was thinking that was Glass. I mean, the whole time that was that dude. And it's just because it's the emotions, it's the acting in the eyes. That's the thing I've always judged is like the acting in the eyes. Like if I believe that person is there, it's real, and I'm just engaged throughout the whole time. He's taking me through his journey and his process where I'm not even aware of it, that it's that actor. That is how I judge it. Like that I'm not one time going, oh, look, that's Tom Welling with a lame punch.
Mark?
I mean, I try to go with just on-screen performance and how well you did in the movie, but if there is a tiebreaker, it's going to be what you went through to pull that performance off. And sometimes you read reports like, if it's between somebody who just showed up to set every day and did their job and did a phenomenal job versus a guy who actually talked like Abraham Lincoln and didn't use a cell phone for 3 months just to get that performance out, he's going to be the guy that did it. I mean, you brought up DiCaprio in The Revenant. That dude ate raw liver for like a month. He slept in a real bear, I think. So it's like, yeah, I'm going to give him the award over somebody else if it's totally equal. But if somebody else did a little bit better of a job on camera, that's what we're giving the award for. It's not for, hey, who can push themselves to the limit? Who can do 9 tough mutters and then be on stage doing Hamlet? That's not what we're asking of you. We just want you to be great in the movie. If it's a tiebreaker, though, I'll go to the extracurriculars.
Yeah, I think it should solely be based on the stuff that you see on screen. All the other stuff is nice, and you get to know what the actors went through. And I think definitely you can't keep it totally out of your mind because it's just human nature. But I like to judge things just same with not just acting, but directing, everything. The only thing that matters to me, like take out like the movie I just saw, Jane Got a Gun. Once I see the movie, I don't care about all the drama that happened behind the scenes, who was supposed to play this, who was supposed to play that. Maybe after I see the movie, maybe I can think about maybe how those things affected it. But you only want to judge it. And the thing about judging acting is it's tough because it's not like sports. There's no point system. You're not tallying points. Oh man, he cried in that scene. He's got 5 points for that, or 3 points for this. And it's all subjective. So it's you may think someone's fantastic, and I might be like, nah, I think he's like too over the top, or maybe he's not. Conveying what I think he or she should be doing. As far as editing, I think it's an underappreciated thing. I think definitely the directors, works with the actor to get the performances, but editors, I think they can start pick the best takes and the worst takes, and they can massage it. If you leave a scene on for, let's say, a second or two too long, you can make an actor's performance actually look kind of like maybe creepy or just not as good. So I think editing actually has a lot to do with that as well.
You came up with a great idea. Like for The Revenant, it's perfect. So if you have a scoreboard that says Hardy, DiCaprio, and you just keep giving them points based on their scene that they just did, I think that's an awesome idea. Or you could do Street Fighter 2 power bars.
Or do that for Street Fighter, the movie with Jean-Claude Van Damme.
We shouldn't watch Street Fighter.
Now we got to do commentary on that.
Poor Raul Julia.
Oh my God, we're gonna have a huge list of
I never
commentary
made it through Street Fighter. Mortal Kombat I'll watch all day, but Street Fighter.
What bad movies do you guys think that we should do commentaries on? Seriously, what bad movies?
We know
there?
The Room is definitely up there.
Oh, hi, Mark.
That and this guy hasn't seen it yet.
I've started watching it because the fans have been asking me to it, and I was quoting it when I was in Sundance. I was walking around. So I go, I did not hit her. I did not. I was doing that the whole time. This movie is hysterical.
Yeah. All right. What's next?
Stephen Allegri writes, "Hey guys, love the show. I try and watch every day when I get home. So my question is, why do bad movies sometimes do so well and good movies sometimes do so poorly? When Transformers 4 came out, it was not really good, but in the end it still made over $1 billion. Then when good movies like The Hateful Eight and Room came out, they don't do very well, in my opinion. If a good movie doesn't always equal money, then why bother making good movies anymore?"
Well, because it's all subjective. I agree with you. I think Transformers 4 is a piece of crap.
It's an abomination.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's terrible, but not everyone felt that way, and that's fine. And so the people who liked it, they voted with their money, and they went to go see it, and they're going to make more and more of them. The thing is there's no formula. There's no 100% guaranteed it will work every time formula. So the only thing studios can do is try and make the best movie possible, and then people will go see it. Because if they knew, let's say 100% of the time they made a bad movie, people would still go see it, they wouldn't even try. They'd be like, screw it. Let's just turn on the camera. You do that,
right.
And then but they don't. It's I think one of the coolest things about movies is that everyone takes them differently, and so you can't say, this has this director, this has this actor, this has this great screenwriter, this has all these great pieces. The movie could still suck, but then maybe the audience loves it and they'll still go see it. So it's all a mystery. We can always theorize and project and all that stuff. It really comes down to what people actually like.
Yeah, I mean, plus I like to believe that occasionally humans can rise above our desire to just make a buck here and there and actually make something that's worthwhile. So sometimes if Michael Bay shows up to a Transformers set, he's just in it for the money. Those movies cost a lot of money to make too, so they have to earn back a huge budget. But sometimes we like to just get together and make something that is really, really good and quality, and we don't really care about making money. Not everybody that lives in Southern California is in it just for the money. Sometimes people have an artistic vision that is deep inside them, and they need to express, whether it's in The Hateful Eight or it's in Room or it's anything else that comes out. Somebody had a desire to make some art that was worthwhile. Now, if it ended up being Transformers, that sucks. If it ended up being The Revenant, that's awesome. That's what you hope for, but sometimes people go in with more than just a desire to make money.
And no one goes in hoping to make a crap movie. That's not even Michael Bay.
Yeah.
Regardless of what you think of his movies, and I'm one of the people who thinks that his movies stink. Minus 13 Hours. The last one was pretty good. I know you loved it. But he thinks that he's making a good movie. What he wants to do, and he thinks he's funny. I don't. You don't.
No.
But he does. And whatever you want to say about him, he's making movies to make movies. He's not going out there to the guy, regardless of what you want to say about him, puts in 110%.
Oh yeah,
every
he's
time.
a hard worker.
He is a hard worker. You just don't happen to like his style is another thing. He's not going, I don't care. He cares, and he just happens to care in a stinky way. But that's one thing. So the other,
Your care smells bad.
it's not good the way you're caring. It just stinks like eggs. No, not you. You don't
Bad
stink like
care.
eggs. But anyway, so I think that there's other ways that you can. There's sometimes in movies like you look at Edge of Tomorrow, which was a movie that should have done tremendously because it was so good. But sometimes people just get hyped up for other things. Transformers was also the 4th movie in a franchise that also did well. Now, why did 2 do well when 2 was crap, or why did 3 do well? You said it. There's no rhyme or reason. It just it happens. It catches on. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it doesn't.
And marketing and math, some things just appeal to more people than others. Like something like The Room is never going to, no matter how good it is. And we're not talking about Tommy Wiseau's The Room,
right?
But the one with Brie Larson. That's never ever going to be a big budget blockbuster. It's just it's not, But if you throw in something that's like has a hook or appeal, or maybe it's based on a book franchise or comic books, people are going to be interested.
I think studios are well aware that they're making crap sometimes, but I think even like the studio knew when they made the choice that we're going to try to get some bucks for Valentine's Day. This is going to be a pile of garbage. But I bet the cast and crew who showed up on day one of the choice, they all threw their hands and they're like, all right, Oscars on 3, everybody. Because they believe it. That's good. You should have dreams.
You mean Razzies on 3. That's all right. We're on to our live Twitter questions. Remember, you can tweet us at Collider Video on Twitter, and Natasha will pick out a few. Natasha, what do we got?
All right, Bazinga Guy asks, if Deadpool is considered a comedy more than a superhero film, will it be harder to do a sequel and keep it funny?
I don't think so. I mean, I think it's a superhero film first, and then a comedy second. So I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I think because it's an action. You look at all those trailers, especially the Red Band trailers. There's a lot of action happening. It's like an action comedy more than anything else. So I think that that's the benefit that it has. That it's not a pure comedy. If they wanted to, and they won't, but if they wanted to, in the second one, kind of veer off and more steer just on action, they could and make it survive as just an action movie if they wanted to. Sometimes like if it's a comedy and then the Zoolander came out, it's a pure drama. You're like, what the hell is going on? So you're kind of stuck. You have to do comedy. So I think that. It doesn't. It won't suffer at all.
Yeah, but also action comedies can have very successful franchises. Like, look at Beverly Hills Cop or Lethal Weapon. Like, those movies work because you can rely on action or comedy depending on what the scene is. I think Deadpool is going to be a good example of that. Maybe Deadpool even gets recognized by the Golden Globes as one of the best comedies of the year. Maybe it's as hilarious as The Martian. We'll have to wait and find out.
I don't think Lethal Weapon started off that way, though. It got more comedic as it went on. That first one was pretty dark. Yep. I mean, it starts off with Riggs.
Joe Pesci started to make it funny.
Yeah,
and that was 2,
It was pretty funny. They were definitely buddies.
Watch the first one.
Watch the first one. It's pretty dark.
Yeah.
I mean, the first scene is what's his face like about to kill himself.
All right, God, guys, you give me a lot of homework here. I gotta watch all the
trees first, Dennis, and then he tries to kill himself.
All right, what's next?
Ian Biz asks, on the subject of movie commentaries, what is your favorite movie to watch drunk and make fun of? Mine is Roadhouse.
Why would you make fun of the Oscar-winning Roadhouse? That's a classic drama.
Maybe because he's drunk?
Yeah.
Man.
No, I mean, my favorite to get drunk and watch, it's so bad, is Planet of the Dinosaurs. It's just so much fun. It's a great drinking movie. And then movies that it's just fun to crack beers to, but watch and take seriously, I would put Dazed and Confused at the top of the list.
Movie.
It's a great movie to watch.
Under Siege 2 is hysterical. And you could be sober,
Pretty
you
horrible.
could be drunk, you could be stoned. You watch that movie, it is amazingly funny.
Yeah, bad action movies are really good because it's got to be something that's at least watchable, but you can also, like, the drunker you get, the better it is.
The Happening. M. Night Shyamalan's The Happening. They're running away from trees, wind. Like, it's so ridiculous.
The lawnmower scene's incredible.
Yeah. Also, the scene with Mark Wahlberg trying to talk to the tree. He's like, oh,
Does he talk about hot dogs too in that movie too?
Yeah.
Oh, some hot dogs.
Yeah, that one's pretty hilarious. All right, what's next?
Benjamin asks, chances of a new Civil War trailer during the Super Bowl?
100%.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I don't know if it's going to be a full trailer, though, but maybe a 30 to 60 second. I mean, those things are expensive. They're not dropping the money for a 2.5-minute trailer.
I mean, you're 3 months away.
Yeah.
You're getting a trailer.
I think they'll drop $8 million and give you a full minute of Captain America. Now it's just a question of when it happens in the Super Bowl. Is it going to happen? Because that first quarter block, man, that's a pretty tough nut to crack if you're buying ad space. Maybe it happens either coming in or coming out of halftime. But Disney's got a lot of money that they could be spending during the Super Bowl. Will be Captain America, Jungle Book. Those are pretty much locks. Then you get further down the road, will we see maybe Doctor Strange or maybe even, God help us all, Rogue One during the Super Bowl?
Yeah, no, I think it's a given. You're getting a trailer. You might get a longer trailer. I think maybe
Think a minute?
I think about a minute.
Yeah.
I think maybe they'll do, let's say, a minute during the Super Bowl and then release the full one online so everyone can see it. All right, what's next?
DJ DJs asks, with Deadpool having such a good marketing plan, just wanted to ask what your favorite promo has been during this marketing campaign.
Oh, it's tough because they're all been really, really good.
That thing with the kids at Halloween was pretty awesome. That, and then if you want to go trailer wise, that last thing that they show with Gina Carano and when she gets knocked into the crate at the very end. I guess Colossus tries to fight her and doesn't really work out too well. The clips, what I've seen for the clips, the marketing itself, it's been tough to judge because everything's been so awesome.
I think for me, it's probably that billboard where they have it like it's a romantic comedy.
Oh yeah, or Nicholas Sparks.
Yeah. With just Ryan Reynolds and Marina Baccarin.
I'd much rather see that version of Nicholas Sparks than what's coming out this weekend.
Yeah, I would go with I like what they did during The Bachelor, where it's him with the rose, and it's like Deadpool stepping out of what you might expect would be the demographic for a superhero movie, and it's just him saying like F everything, we're gonna do a huge marketing campaign.
All right, what's next?
Dank Corletto asks, who do you think is the most overrated actor and or actress?
That's
Think
tough.
about that. You need to think about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to think about it.
Overrated actor
overrated.
or actress?
Yeah.
What's
Meryl Streep. Kidding.
I don't know. I think Christian's is it Jai Courtney or
I don't think he's overrated. I think they use him too much.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that same thing like that happened with Sam. Like
Sam
Worthington.
Worthington.
This is the thing, and this happens. This seems to be a trend in Hollywood. I'm serious because like you have like when Sam Worthington first hit the scene, everyone thought, "Hey, let's make him a lead actor."
Yeah.
And then you see him in all these other like Cake, and he was just in Everest, and he's a really great kind of supporting character, and he's able to do these smaller roles. But what's that? Scream it. Adrian Brody is overrated too. But I think, and the other thing, when you have Jai Courtney, by the way, in supporting roles, is good. And I just saw him. What was that movie? I just said he was good in. I can't remember what the hell it was. I said that he looks good in
Suicide Squad.
Water
Yeah.
Diviner's pretty good.
And he was good. Yeah, but he's in it for like 3 seconds. So I don't know. Sometimes I just think that the studios overrate people quick.
Why would the crew throw Adrian Brody at us? Adrian Brody's a fine actor. What's your problem with Adrian Brody back there?
What?
Because you don't like it?
I like Adrian Brody.
You hate Adrian. What?
I don't mind Adrian Brody.
Kristian Harloff hates Adrian Brody.
I don't know why you said that. I know Tiffany Smith hates Anne Hathaway.
Stuff like that. Yeah, I can't really think of anybody that every time they come on screen, I'm like, and unless it is somebody like from Twilight, like, like a Bob Pattinson, who I don't get excited to see, but he's won me over too. Taylor Lautner hasn't done it yet.
Bobby Pats.
Bobby Pat.
Break the
Yeah, I
legs.
can't think of someone that's. I mean, everyone has their different ideas.
Yeah.
I think the one thing, sometimes people confuse like overrated with maybe overexposed, because then you get a lot of, Anne Hathaway had it for a while. Where
Jennifer Lawrence has it now.
Yeah, Jennifer
Yeah.
Lawrence has it now. It's like they didn't really do anything to anyone. It's just they're in the public consciousness like too much, and then people just get sick of them versus they're turning out crap or something.
37 movies, 28 commercials, car
Yeah.
commercials. I mean, it's
Peyton Manning, overrated actor.
No, it's pretty good.
Like that. All right, what's next?
Joseph Meldrum asks, I saw a DVD case that said "From the producers of" on it. Does this matter, or is it meant to trick people to buy it?
Trick people.
Not always, but I think it's both. I think it's a lot of times. You think every time it's to trick people?
Well, okay, usually when they throw from the producers of, that usually means the director who's doing it is not well known.
Yeah.
And so they need to push from the directors of something else that was much more successful.
Right.
And then, for me, at least from my standpoint, I always look at the director as an indicator of how good a movie is going to be. And when you say producers, it's like maybe, but then why didn't you get a better director? I don't know. Sometimes it helps.
I think you're right. I mean, I think that it definitely, sometimes they do it to sell that, but it doesn't always mean that that's the only reason they're doing it. Like sometimes if it is a lesser known director, but it's still a good director, but they know that they can sell it off of what happened on previous projects with these producers, but it's legit, then sometimes that's great. But sometimes it's just like from one of the producers' brother's cousins who made Shrek.
I would also take your son's. Hey, our buddy's named Shrek.
Yeah.
Now we made a movie.
Right.
Watch it.
Right.
Like, I would take your two sometimeses and say it's like 90-10, that 90% they just want to put two movies that you like on the cover of the movie. Like, because it's from the producers of whatever, and then we can also do this. Sometimes they just want to get the movie out there. So you'll think, oh, wait, this guy produced, this guy did this and this. Oh, and now he's doing this. This has to be good, and it's usually crap.
And similar to that, they also do the produced by, and then they throw a big name in there, but they're actually not directing it, right? You throw in like, produced by Steven Spielberg, or even this upcoming Blade Runner, which I think is going to be great. Ridley Scott is producing; he's not directing it.
He's not?
No, it's Denis Villeneuve,
Right.
who I think is fantastic. Right. So, but he doesn't have a big name, so they're going to throw with when those trailers for Blade Runner come out, it's going to be produced by Ridley Scott all over,
especially coming off of The Martian and everything too. But that's my point, is because we all know Denis Villeneuve. I murdered that pronunciation, but we know
that pretty good.
Yeah, thanks, appreciate it. Yeah. That to me is, that movie's going to look gorgeous. Yeah. I can't wait to see what that movie's going to look like with Deakins.
Deakins is doing it.
Thank you.
All right, what's next?
Jim Mason just adds overrated actress equals Cameron Diaz. Totally forgot about that.
I remember, for me, like, I like her in those kind of, like, I liked her in Charlie's Angels.
You loved her in Gangs of New York. That's brutal as pain, huh?
Yeah. I mean, I really like that movie. Martin Scorsese is my favorite director. Daniel Day-Lewis kills it in that, and she's just so out of place. They should have put someone like a Natalie Portman in there or something.
Natalie Portman sometimes can be a little over the top too. Like a lot of times, I'm a Natalie Portman fan. Like Black Swan. Crushes it, but then everybody had problems in the prequels, but she does. She sometimes has, I don't know. So I think sometimes Natalie Portman can be overrated. Sometimes she crushes it. Again, Closer.
I think with Scorsese she would have crushed it.
Maybe so. Yeah. But Cameron Diaz is someone who absolutely overcooks it a lot of times. Like sometimes she can put you like, oh, she's pretty good in that, and other times she's like, oof. Brutal.
I think sometimes they just turn it on or turn it off based on what they're doing or what the project is. But a lot of time that has to do with the director, or if not the director, at least the producers of this and this.
Yeah. All right, what's next?
Jaimel asks, favorite stand-up comedian turned actor. Mine is Bernie Mac.
A stand-up
That's a
comedian.
good call, actually. I'm going to go with the two biggest comics of all time, arguably, are Steve Martin and Eddie Murphy, who both were legendary comics who were selling out stadiums and literally got so big they could not do stand-up in its pure form anymore, so they went to movies. Now, we love to see them on stage again. We love to maybe see them commit to more roles, but Steve Martin's been working a lot. Eddie Murphy, not quite as much, but like those are two guys where you put their best body of work against anybody else that's ever lived.
I'll push it against Robin Williams and Jim Carrey.
Good ones.
Jim Carrey is mine.
Yeah.
Like especially his dramatic work. I mean, stuff like Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind, I thought he was fantastic.
One of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah, and I don't think he got enough credit for it. And then after that, he saw a lot of his movies that weren't doing so well, so he had to go back to comedy.
You know who did stand up for like 3 weeks and was incredible at it?
Michael Keaton.
Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks, when he was doing the movie Punchline, which is a hilarious movie that has no basis in reality if you're talking about being a stand-up comic, but he played like the up-and-coming comic, and he was actually training at comedy clubs for maybe a couple months, and every comic that was around at that time said Tom Hanks could have been like the best comic that ever lived if he committed to it. It's a shame he didn't, because he only makes $20 million a movie now.
Yeah. I would still say out of all of them, though, for me is the late, I know I mentioned it already, but late Robin Williams, just because of what he did on stage and the energy they brought to the stage. But then when you saw him in movies like Good Will Hunting or even 1 Hour Photo, movies like that guy was, I mean, you don't see talent like that often, man. He was one of the best.
Did you ever see Metro? Eddie Murphy was in that.
You trying to lose the argument?
All right, what's next?
Jacob writes, hey all, thoughts on a live action Pokemon movie? This year with Pokemon Go and the 20th anniversary, I think it's a good time.
Pokemon is like Power Rangers to me. I just didn't grow up with it, so I don't care. So I really don't even know the concept of it. I know they pick little
I
thing.
choose you,
I choose you,
Pikachu.
Pikachu, like all that stuff. So, yeah, I don't really care.
I didn't catch them all. I didn't.
No.
I caught very few Pokemon. As a matter of fact, I stayed Pokemon free for the majority of my life. But I will say that it might be a little more of a marginalized demographic than even something like Power Rangers, where it was huge for a time, and then it's hard to get that audience after 10 or 20 years or whatever to get back into a theater. If you were going to do something based on a huge animation like that that has a big fan base, you do Dragon Ball Z big. You don't do Pokemon.
Live action, hell no. Reboot of animation down the line, it'll probably happen.
All right, 2 more.
Okay. The Lone Wolf asks, is there a retired actor or actress that you miss seeing on the big screen? I personally miss Gene Hackman.
Oh, took mine. Him and Sean Connery.
Sean Connery, those are the two that I
But
want to see.
Hackman, well, this one movie, I love this movie, and most people haven't seen or talked about it, that he's in is Heist, the one David Mamet wrote. I love that movie. It has Sam Rockwell, Danny DeVito. I forgot that one actor's name. Delroy Lindo.
Yeah.
He's in it. I love that movie. I miss Gene Hackman.
Yeah. As far as directors go, Steven Soderbergh. Like, I just wish that guy would retire.
He unretired.
Yeah, Gene Hackman, to me, one of the best performances he's ever done is the Royal Tenenbaums. You still haven't seen it yet, right?
I haven't seen the whole thing of Royal Tenenbaums.
You gotta watch it.
Yeah.
That is the best performance of Gene Hackman ever. He's so funny in that movie. That's my favorite. That's my favorite performance of his.
Yeah, Hackman is one of my all-time favorite actors. I'd love to see him back in something. He's just so good.
He was amazing in Unforgiven.
He sure was.
That last sequence with him and Clint Eastwood, I don't deserve this.
I don't know if anybody's going to match his Lex Luthor either, man. He's one of the best of all time.
Okay, quick quiz. Okay, so Sean Connery's last movie was what?
League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Very good.
Man.
Gene Hackman's last movie was what?
Ooh, I don't know.
I think he walked off. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I think he walked off on Welcome to Mooseport.
Oh goodness.
Ooh.
Yeah. So two stickers. They need to come back.
So they didn't win the Super Bowl when they retired, right?
It was not an Elway situation. No.
They didn't ride off into the sunset.
No.
All right, one last one.
Cooper Hood asks, today is Friendship Day. So what are some of your favorite friendship movies?
Friendship movie? I don't even consider movies. It's friendship.
There's some
movies.
friendship movies out
Lethal
there.
Weapon.
It's like,
The Hangover?
Weapon's a good one. It's a
Then-
great one. The Wolf
But isn't
Pack.
like
War of the Roses.
Isn't like
Wolfpack?
most movies then about friendships? I don't know.
It's a very loose question, but a lot
Stand
of
By
movies. Ooh, Stand By Me. Oh, okay. I don't know if it's for me. It does trump Stand By Me, but I know a lot of people love that movie too. The Sandlot is one of the best
good.
Friends movies of all time.
Goonies.
Goonies. I think would be mine if we were going that route, where it's like a bunch of kids on an adventure. Natasha, do you have best friendship movie?
Friendship. Little Rascals?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's really good. Yeah, Spanky and his gang. Some of them were a little creepy, but Spanky and Alfalfa, I'm in with.
Yeah.
All right, guys, that's it for today's episode. Thanks for joining us. I want to thank the people joining us at the table today. Mark, where can people find you?
You can find me online, Twitter, Facebook, all the good stuff at Mark Ellis Live. And I'm doing a show at the Comedy Store this Saturday night, 7 p.m. I have my own promo code. It's Schmoes. I'll tweet the link out right after this show.
Kristian?
At Kristian Harloff, both Twitter and Instagram. And of course, today, Collider Jedi Council with myself, Mark, and John Campia. We'll be doing it a little later. And Mark and I are going to be doing a special episode of Schmoes with Tyrone Magnus and Ryan Wright. If you want to check that out, that'll be on the Schmoes channel a little later on.
Natasha, where can people find you?
You guys can find me on Instagram at Natasha A. Martinez and on Twitter at NatashaLexis_.
And you can find me on Twitter at ThinkHero or on Instagram, Dennis.tzng. Just want to remind you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/Collider Videos. And we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Hey guys, if you like this video, click the thumbs up button. Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. It'll help you stay up to date with everything we've got going on here at Collider.